Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition review. And I know it's been a long time since part 1, but a lot of stuff happened that I don't have the time to explain here. So let's not waste more time and continue with the review right where we left off. Last time we ended the video talking about Nero, so now we're going to talk about some of the other characters. Now it is time for the most complex character in the game. He's so complex that most newcomers might struggle using him. For those, I recommend them to focus more on Nero instead. Though Dante can be really damn OP when you learn to use him right. In fact, he has consistently become the most complex character in the entire hack and slash genre in almost every new installment of the franchise. I can't think of anyone that comes even close. Because of this, he's my favorite character to use in any action game ever. Sure, his charming personality helps too, but the complexity of his gameplay is what makes me enjoy playing as him more than any other character. In fact, I have over 100 hours in just this special edition of this game alone, which most of them were dedicated to play as Dante, and yet I am still very far to learn and use Dante to his full potential. So to keep this short, I will try to explain the main reasons why Dante is as complex as he is without going into much detail. It is mostly because he has the ability to do a style switch. The different styles were introduced in Devil May Cry 3. In there Dante had 6 different styles, which were Trickster, Royal Guard, Swordsmaster, Gunslinger, Quicksilver, and Doppelganger. They allowed him to have different abilities with the circle button. But the thing is that in 3 Dante was not able to change styles in the middle of the battle. In 4 he can change them at any moment. So even though Quicksilver and Doppelganger were removed, they still made a new one called Dark Slayer, and with the ability to change styles on the fly, it added a lot of depth and complexity to Dante's playstyle. A small summary of each style will be: Trickster. This one is very basic and easy to use. It focuses on mobility and evasive abilities, like a air dash called Sky Star with a few invincibility frames, a teleportation called Air Trick, also with a few invisibility frames, etc. By the way, dodging attacks will also add to your style meter. This style is great for newcomers to the franchise. Since it focuses on dodging, it will make avoiding attacks from enemies and bosses easier, helping you take less damage, while also not having to think too much on the other more complex attack mechanics. Royal Guard. This style is one of the hardest to master. It focuses on defense. It creates a shield that greatly reduces the damage of an attack, but if you activate it right when the attack hits, it does a perfect parry, countering the attack entirely. The more perfect parries you make, the more an energy meter fills up to make an incredibly strong attack. Even though I am better with Dante than Nero, I tried to use this style, but honestly I am still not good enough to use it correctly. It just didn't work for me. Nailing a perfect parry was too difficult, and if you can't do it, you will be punished by only reducing the damage instead of countering the attack. So in the end it was for the worse. Maybe some other time I will try again. Swordmaster. This one is simple but complex. It gives Dante extra abilities to each of his melee weapons, and with the upgrades, the number of extra abilities increases. For example, with Rebellion, one new ability it gives is an attack called Prop with Circle, where Dante spins the sword upward and launches the enemy up in the air. This launcher does more damage than the regular launcher Hike Time with Lock-on, Back and Triangle. This one is great when you are already more familiar with the basic mechanics. It also works really well to use it alongside Trickster, since when I was still a beginner in Devil May Cry 4, I used these two the most, and they make for a great combination. Gunslinger. Very similar to Swordmaster, but instead of giving extra abilities to the melee weapons, it gives extra abilities to Dante's long-range firearms. Like for the Coyote A, which is Dante's shotgun, you gain an ability named Gunstinger with lock-on, forward and circle, where he rams his shotgun directly in front of the enemy's face and shoot them at close range. Now that I am a very experienced Devil May Cry player, I use this one alongside Swordsmaster the most, since these two complement each other really damn well. Darkslayer. This style allows Dante to use Virgil's main weapon, the Katana Yamato. With this, he has access to a few of his classic moves. This is a nice introduction to the playstyle of Virgil, since it is a far more simple and less complex version of the character. There is also a small glitch called inertia that high-level players have exploited to create new unintentional game mechanics. One of them is dart flying. It is really hard to pull off, since you have to press several buttons in a very precise order. But when you do it right, Dante will teleport up to 3 times in a row in any direction you choose. Then there's Dante's 3 main weapons, which are Rebellion. This weapon is very easy to use but hard to master, which makes it a great starting weapon. Some of its attacks are very simple, like Stinger, which is with lock-on, forward and triangle. With this, Dante will thrust the sword forward, launching enemies away. Another of its attacks is the Combo B, which is done by pressing triangle, then pause, then triangle 2 more times. With this, Dante will spin the sword around, hitting enemies around him. I will finish off with another attack called Million Stab, in which Dante will do several fast thrusts that will do a lot of damage, and finish off by throwing the enemy away. Just like with all of Dante's weapons, some of his best attacks are locked for only the Swordsmaster style, like the Aerial Raid, that by pressing circle 4 times in mid-air, Dante will do an air combo. Or another one, it is Dance Macabre. By pressing circle forward a lot of times, Dante will do several sword slashes at great speed. Then launch the enemy into the air, and finish it off by Dante using the Rebellion like a baseball bat to do a home run swing that will deal a lot of damage, and it will greatly increase your style meter rating. But be careful, once you start the finishing blow, that's the home run swing, you won't be able to move until the attack stops. So during all that time you will be highly wide open and vulnerable to other enemies' attacks. This weapon is very fast and simple. Just attack enemies with a decent range and incredible speed. Just direct to the point and nothing too complex. It is a perfect weapon for beginners. If you don't feel like using the other weapons yet, don't feel pressured to do so if you're not ready. Just try to master Rebellion first, and then take your time with the others. Gilgamesh. This weapon is a set of armor pieces and focuses on doing slow, long-range attacks that deal a lot of damage. People who have played previous games in the series will recognize the similarities between this weapon and Ifrit from the first game and Beowulf from 3. So just like that one, almost all of his attacks can be charged up to deal even more damage. Some of his charge attacks are so powerful that they can create huge explosions and deal ridiculous amount of damage to enemies and even the strongest bosses. But his best technique by far with the Swordmaster style is the real impact, with lock-on, back and circle. The starting up animation for this attack is super slow, and its hitbox is quite small. So even if the enemy is slightly further away than one is required to take the hit, then the attack will fail and all that charge up will be for nothing. Not to mention you can't cancel this attack once you start it. So you will be wide open for ending attacks during this animation, but if you manage to land this attack, Dante will do an absurdly strong uppercut that will annihilate most enemies, and deal an incredible amount of damage to even the strongest bosses. So it is worth the risk. Just make sure to use it in the right moment. Overall, this weapon is more complex than Rebellion, but it will always be useful against slower enemies with a lot of health, or when bosses are in a weakened state and unable to move for a few seconds. Lucifer. This one it is the most complicated of Dante's weapons to learn. You see, this weapon creates several swords that Dante uses to stab the enemies. But these don't deal much damage on their own. Also, most enemies won't react to being stabbed by those swords, but they only deal great amount of damage when they explode. This will either happen when you put up to 15 swords at the same time, or when you manually detonate them with the attack Ecstasy, with lock-on, back and triangle. Then Dante will throw a rose that will trigger the explosions of the swords around you. One of his best attacks it is pin-up. With lock-on, forward and triangle, Dante then will create several swords in front of him and they will stay in mid-air, creating a sort of defense for Dante since you can still make them explode at any time you want. This might be the most complex weapon to use in Dante's arsenal, but once you learn to use it, it can be devastating to several enemies at the same time and deal an incredible amount of damage. Now come Dante's guns. Don't worry about searching for ammo since in this game it is unlimited. And in this game the main guns are Ebony and Ivory. These are Dante's most classic guns. They have been with him since the very first game and they're very easy to use. Just mash a square and Dante will shoot. Don't worry about aiming because that's for what the lock-on is for. Though they don't do much damage, they are mostly intended for keeping your style meter for depleting too much. But don't worry since they can become more useful by using the Gunslinger style. With this you will have access to very powerful attacks like Rainstorm, with circle in mid-air. Dante will spin around shooting several bullets to enemy below him. This attack will end once Dante lands on the ground. Very useful for air combos. Coyote A. Very simple gun as well. Just press square and it will do a spread shot throwing the enemy far away. Doesn't have as much reach as Ebony and Ivory, but it does more damage up close. Its attacks with Gunslinger style are very useful. I already mentioned Gunstinger before. But another good one it is Fireworks by pressing circle on the ground. Dante will use the shotgun as a nunchuck shooting around him, dealing damage to surrounding enemies and throwing them far away. Pandora. This is the most complex gun in the game. It is a briefcase that can transform into 666 different guns. Though in the game you can only use 7. Its strongest default form is PF398 Revenge, which by holding a square, then spinning the joystick twice, it will transform into a giant laser gun. Unlike the other two, this gun has a disaster gauge that will fill up the more you use it, which will allow you to use the more powerful attacks of this gun with the Gunslinger style, like one of its best forms, which is PF594 Argument. You activate it by pressing circle. This form is a sort of vehicle that allows Dante to hover around in the air, and shot several homing missiles by pressing circle again, but it will use half of your disaster gauge, which is filled by using the different default forms of Pandora. Another form that uses the disaster gauge is the PF666 Omen, also with the gunslinger style. With lock-on circle forward, Dante will use his regular briefcase look and open it, creating a big flash that will hurt enemies. If your disaster gauge is completely filled, then it can kill most enemies on screen, though this attack will consume all of it. Lastly, Dante has his own Devil Trigger. Just like with Nero, it activates by pressing L1. This will transform him into his demonic form, and it does the usual stuff. Makes all his attacks stronger, it heals Dante while being used, and, unlike Nero, he will not be stopped by taking damage from most attacks. Some attacks will be greatly improved, like the Rebellionist's Stinger, doing far more damage and covering a higher radius, but this will consume some extra Devil Trigger gauge. Same with Gilgamesh's Kick 13. That will add a series of rising kicks in the end to launch the enemy into the air, but this will also consume some extra Devil Trigger gauge. Virgil is the most OP character in the game, but Dante is a very close second because of his versatility. But the thing about versatile characters is that if you don't use that aspect to your advantage, then that character won't be that good at all. And that means you have to master all of his different techniques, powers and abilities, and know when to use each one of them, so you can use the character to its full potential. If anything, for a newcomer to the franchise, Dante might come off as weak because they will be overwhelmed by the huge amount of styles, weapons and guns, which means that newcomer will probably stick to the easiest weapons to use and never touch the more complex ones, or even use them in conjunction with the others like he should. Now that we know the basics about him, it is time to finally see Dante in action. Let's go kick some ass, baby! Okay, now that we have talked about the characters of the default version, now let's talk about the characters that were added in the special edition.
Hey, it's Fat Albert!
Oh, so you are back. Why?
Time to the Frogster and a good old frog for Kachow! So, you talked about the albino duo, the Etchy Lords. Now it's time for Melon's duo.
Okay, sure dude, but let's not waste more time and continue with the review. Now let's talk about Lady. She's probably the most simple character to use, since she's basically a stronger version of Dante's gunslinger style. She has dual handguns and a shotgun that works very similar to Dante's Ebony and Ivory and Coyote A, but with augmented charge attacks. For example, with her dual handguns she can do a charge shot that's very similar to Nero's Blue Rose charge shot.
Well, at least she's hot. Like Abby, maybe her name is for her abs, or the new April O'Neil that look like a woman hamster mutant hybrid. So, Lady is a woman with giant guns and buns. These only need mechas to become Metal fucking Gear.
But she does have a unique gun, that's the Kalina Ann, that was her main weapon in Devil May Cry 3. It is a bazooka that can be used as a melee weapon with its bayonet. This will throw enemies far away so you can shoot them with your guns. Obviously you can also shoot missiles with it, and it also has a wire shot. That works very similar to Nero's Devil Bringer in the sense that can be used to throw enemies around and solving the puzzles of grabbing objects.
So, why the woman in this game have yellow bones? This is Devil May Cry or Dead or Alive. Still, I love it. Every second of it. I love it. I just love it.
Well, it's a Japanese game, so no surprise there. I wish more modern Western games learned from them and made their women less ugly and also less annoying. With this gun, like I said before, she can shoot rockets and missiles. One of its best abilities it is the maximum burst. By holding a square until the Kalina Ann sparks twice, she will charge an incredibly powerful missile that does a huge explosion. And yeah, it does take a while to charge it. Also, Lady won't be able to move doing this, and she can't keep aiming at the enemy even if you're using lock-on. So if the enemy just happens to move even slightly out of the way, the missile won't hit them. And all that charge time you did will be for nothing, which is quite frustrating to say the least. But if you manage to land this attack, it will be incredibly satisfying since it can kill most enemies in a single blow and even do an absurd amount of damage to the bosses. So in that sense it is similar to Dante's Gilgamesh real impact attack. But the difference here is that you can choose to release the attack at any time you want.
Did Dante have a choice with Lady and Trish?
Huh? What is that?
I don't know, but it's a simple reference. Nostalgia forever and ever.
Okay, whatever. Let's continue. As much as Maximum Burst is very satisfying to use, it is way too OP. Especially against the bigger and slower bosses. It makes those fights too easy and boring. Because now it is all just about running away and waiting for a moment to charge that attack, while hoping to get lucky that the boss AI ignores you for a while. If they ever make Lady playable in another Devil May Cry game, they need to either nerf this ability or just remove it entirely. Another of her best abilities with the Kalina Ann is called Multiple. With lock-on, forward and holding circle, the bazooka will target several enemies. Though you will have to manually aim it in a very awkward way. But once you do that, the Kalina Ann will shoot a lot of homing missiles that will hunt down the enemies that you aim it at. Since this character is meant to be a human, she doesn't have a devil trigger. which means that she can't replenish her health with it. Instead, she can throw grenades that leave really big explosions and deal a lot of damage to surrounding enemies.
She looks like an anime version of Lara Croft. So, why now all the woman in gaming looks like my language teacher and she was ugly, I tell you. She looked like a Stephen King with a wig. A Stephen King with a wig. Just imagine. Stephen King with a wig. And a drag.
Please, can we continue? You weren't even supposed to appear in this video.
Yeah, but your door was open.
Huh? Seriously?
Nope, I just copied your key.
Sadly, even though she can do a lot of damage with her charged missiles, she is probably the most boring character to use, and she is very slow and she really doesn't have any real combos. It also doesn't help that unlike a character from a third-person shooter, she can't aim her gun. And all the shooting is done with the lock-on, which gets pretty boring after a while. Now that we have talked about some of her badass guns, it's time to see them in action. Let's go shoot some demon scum. Trish. She is definitely more fun to use than Lady, but she's also very simple since she doesn't have much complexity compared to the other characters like Nero and Dante. What makes her special is her electric powers that don't deal much damage but have a great area of effect.
Yeah, a blonde MILF with giant bazongas. This is frog heaven. She looks like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but with porn star attributes, and she kicks ass.
Her main mode of attack is the bare knuckle, where she does electric hand-to-hand techniques. It works similar to Dante's Gilgamesh and Virgil's Beowulf, because, just like those, you can also charge her attacks. But the weapon that she uses with conjunction with the bare knuckle is the Devil Sword Sparta. It gives her some similar ability to Dante's Rebellion. Though when things get interesting is with the ability Round Trip. With lock-on, forward and circle, the sword will turn into a sickle. Trish will throw it, and it will spin in place for a while, leaving the enemies that are caught in there trapped.
And she can do combos into combos and make the bad guys cry like an anime fan during prom.
Don't say it!
Push looks and make the bad guys cry like an anime fan during prom night. Sorry, but we need this joke for the algorithm. So, you know, we need to grow this channel to make money with charities.
Sorry, but we are not that type of channels.
Yet. Wait and see. Wait and see.
Anyways, after doing round trip, Trish's bare knuckle moveset will change. Like for example, she can now do a bare knuckle combo C. By pressing triangle 4 times, Trish will do a few kicks and then an upside down spinning air kick, and if after finishing that combo you start to rapidly tap triangle, you will do electrical dance, where Trish will continue spinning for a longer time, greatly increasing the number of hits of the combo. Other attacks she gains are bare knuckle combo D with triangle twice, then pause, then triangle twice again. Trish will do several kicks and then finish off with an uppercut. That covers a far greater area of effect than the uppercuts from Gilgamesh and Beowulf. But if you thought that it was cool when Dante used the Rebellion as a baseball bat, then just you wait until you see the bare knuckle combo B. By pressing triangle twice, then rapidly pressing triangle again, Trish will do several slashes with plenty of electric kicks as well. And will finish off by sending the enemy incredibly high into the air and then hit them right before they fall into the ground by using the Deadly Sword Sparta as a golf club. Don't remember that just like the Rebellion's does Macab, Trish will be wide open for enemy attacks while she can't move while doing the finishing blow of that attack.
Yeah, this game is horny! Nick, nick, nick.
Why do you keep making fun of this game for being horny? It is actually quite tame when it comes to fan service compared to something like Senran Kagura, which you like a lot.
Hey! First of all, don't mess with Senran Kagura. Yumi is the best waifu ever. Nick. And it's true that now games have ugly trolls as main characters, like Abbott and Costello from Last of Us 2.
Well, at least it's not as corny as Verbales. Did you know that the guy paid 50 grand for a porn video with his has-been hotel cartoon waifu?
But you know, what is the problem with that? He's a hero! Is his money and his wet dream. But, you know, you're right. Better spend that money on Lola Bunny. Nick. Playing basketball. If you know what I mean. Nick.
I think even Family Guy makes better jokes than you.
But back to the characters, I never understand the Wookiees.
The Wookiees?
Yeah, they are like Chewbacca but crankier and with blue or green hair. They scared the crap out of me.
Arg! The internet is a harsh mistress. Arg!
True. The woke weirdos are sadly ruining a big part of gaming. But this channel is about having fun with video games and not endless rants about social justice warriors destroying entertainment. And I have nothing against that. I watch some of those myself from time to time. But there's plenty of other channels about that kind of stuff to choose from.
Yeah, the Wookiees are like leprechauns. You know, that leech joy from others so we can be as miserable as them.
I am a Dita Circassian. I am a leprechaun. I want gold. I want fucking gold. Money. Odita Circassian.
Anyways, let's not waste more time. Trish also has access to the guns Luz and Umbra that work similar to Dante's Ebony and Ivory. And also she has Pandora. Though she doesn't have access to all the forms that Dante has. She only has 3, and the best one is PF398 Revenge, which is a lot more powerful than Dante's version, but it depletes Devil Trigger Gauge instead of using the Disaster Gauge, since her version of Pandora doesn't have that. Her Devil Trigger is very simple. It makes her attacks stronger, she heals over time, her bullets now have electricity, and she puts on her sunglasses to look cool.
So, she's like Pikachu. Pika Pika, Choo-choo-choo. Pika Pika.
Pikachu! Choo-choo-choo!
So now that we have seen her moves, it is time to see her shock some demons with a shower of electric kicks, slashes, and bullets. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how her gameplay works.
But why is called the Bloody Palace? I don't see any bloodstain, just ketchup. Ta-dink!
Your crane jokes are getting worse every time, and the laugh track is not helping.
Nyek, nyek.
Hey, that's funny! You know, like Duke funny.
Oh, that's it. I am tired of this. So to save you some time, I will do it for you. Okay, that's all for today, guys. See you in the next part.
What the fuck? Another part? Okay. No, sir. You know, screw you guys. I going home. So, I have better things to do, like watching Space Jam and making Lola yam. If you know what I mean.
Nyek, 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 nyek. Lolita, Lola, Bunny, Lola, Bunny.
Bye-bye.
Next time in part 3 I will invite Dexter the Nerdo Bunny to be the sidekick. At least he doesn't make green jokes. See you later, guys.